Welcome again, Scorpio. Happy New Year for 2018. I'm Dadhichi, and just take a look at this. It's always a good thing having your ruling planet and your friendly planet Jupiter associated here in your sun sign as the year starts. Very, very important. It gives you the dynamic drive to expand and to achieve the things that you've been feeling a little, I guess, lethargic about. You may have lost a little bit of interest, not a lot, in what you're doing, but this gives you the drive. Have a look at this massive conjunction of planets in your third house. The third house has to do with communication. Venus, the Sun, Pluto, Mercury, Saturn and Moon. And having Saturn, having just moved through this area earlier, that is later in 2017, a lot more responsibility has to be taken for the way you communicate, but more importantly for the way you think. It's the process of thinking that is critical for you throughout 2018. Mars transits here through your second house. That's lucky. It shows a lot of self-exertion in terms of the way you are going to approach your work. I want to go back a little bit there because on the 31st of January there is an eclipse here that takes place in Leo here. If you see, this is the full moon, has to do with your work, and so this is really the trigger here, along with this Mars transit. Work, domestic, finance. So the weight is in favor of the efforts you're going to put into your business, earning better money. Jupiter here, which is normally the expander and the good fortune planet, doesn't actually move here till later in the year, and I'll get to that later. But here you can see Mars moving through dynamically. A bit of stress here to the fifth house as these planets move through. You've got to be very careful that you don't speculate on an impulse, as this right angle to Mars, one of your ruling planets, is an adverse aspect. I was talking about the Saturn transit into this third house and the need to take more responsibility for your thinking processes. This has a lot to do with your self-talk. A lot of frustration can build up here around the conjunction of Mars and Saturn around March and April. Here we also see the big conjunction in the sixth house of work. So there's still a lot of frustration associated with that. And when you've got the Mars and Saturn combined here, but here you can see by about the middle of April, Mars is moving away. Still, conjunction with Pluto can make you angry, can make you resentful. These are not what we'd call wholesome sorts of aspects. There are also issues of safety. You need to be careful about exerting yourself too much. If some of you were not well last year, then it's important that you take care of your health. Now on the 16th, take a look at this transit of Uranus into your marital sector along with the Sun and Mercury. Big changes can happen at that time and you will not see it coming. Absolutely. Simultaneously, the right angle to Mars, there in your fourth house of domestic affairs. You may make some abrupt decisions at that time, and so you need to be conscious of the repercussions of any of the decisions that you make at that time. Now that's going to precede the further eclipse on July 28. That comes a little bit later. Let me see if I can get that in terms of a month ahead. Here it is here. It will transit through there. There it is, just there. Am I correct? 28? Yeah, July 28. There it is. It's a full moon. And this is a bit of a problematic one. So we saw the earlier abrupt and unexpected changes that take place in your relationships. But here you've got a very volatile moon and Mars conjunction on this full moon eclipse. Now that can be problematic. This can be latent feelings, submerged feelings, frustrations, depression, all coming out. Now it has to come out, but again, it has to be done in a way that it's not going to destabilize your relationship or your domestic life. I missed that one there too. That's a Venus moving in your 11th house, a very nice period of friendship for you. And here also the Sun, Mercury, Moon in the 10th house around that same time of the eclipse is excellent in terms of bringing with it the upliftment that you're looking for in your work. Now, also I mentioned the rather delayed transit of Jupiter here around the 8th into the 2nd house of income. Those earlier transits of the Sun in the 10th house bring with it the notoriety, the fame, the upliftment, the promotions, new jobs, newfound satisfaction in your work, but the money probably, realistically, big money, if that's what we're all talking about, doesn't start to flow till towards the latter part of the year. And there you've also got the Mercury-Moon conjunction around the same time of the entry of Jupiter into Sagittarius. This is important because it's a 12-month transit. So these are the two big ones normally. Apart from these transpersonal planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, which also have an impact, but more personally speaking, Jupiter for your finances, Saturn for your thinking, they are the keys for you. This one in particular, the Saturn, responsibility for thought, responsibility for word, which in turn yield the results as far as your karma is concerned. So think along those lines. You know, you can get the more detailed analysis. I've written 3,000 words for each of the 12 star signs for 2018, and you can get hold of that absolutely free at astrology.com.au, and I do look forward to your company here next month. Take care and have a safe new year. Bye-bye.